I'd like to call this August 7th meeting of the Cookeville City Council to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilman Anderson.
Present.
Councilman Shelton.
Here.
Mayor Salee.
Present.
Vice Mayor Davis.
Correct either way.
Councilman Williams. 3 present, 2 absent.
All right, if we could all rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda, Mr. Shibley?
We do. We need to pull item 10. And we need to add, I guess, item 13, consider approval of addendum to Lamar Settlement Agreement, sponsor James Mills.
Do we have a motion and a second to approve?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All vote.
3 yes votes, motion carries.
All right, that brings us to the old business portion of our meeting. Item 2, consider approval of minutes of council meeting held July the 17th, 2008. Do we have a motion and a second to approve?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion by the council? Any comments from the audience? Seeing none, all vote.
3 yes votes, motion carries.
Consent agenda, we have several items, 6 items. First, item 3, consider awarding bids for lights and cable. Item 4, consider awarding bids for installation of 138 feet of guardrail on Bill Smith Road, striping for crosswalks, and parking spaces, turning areas for the square. Set a date, September the 4th, 2008, for a public hearing on rezoning ordinance of portion of 1724 and 1742 East Spring Street from RS20 residential to CL local commercial. Item 6, set a date, September the 4th, 2008, for a public hearing on an ordinance historic overlay zoning for the property at 118 East 1st Street. Item 7, set a date, September the 4th, for a public hearing on an ordinance for closure and abandonment of a portion of the undeveloped right-of-way of Poplar Avenue. And item 8, consider awarding the bid for the sale of 63 Reagan Street. Do we have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda? So moved.
Second.
Our motion and our second. Any discussion? Any items we need to pull? Seeing none, all vote.
3 yes votes, motion carries.
Brings us to our new business portion of our meeting. Item 9, hold a public hearing and consider on first reading ordinance 080815, amending the budgets of the various funds, departments of the City of Cookeville, Tennessee for the fiscal year ending June the 30th, 2008. Sponsor, Mr. Mike Davidson.
Mayor and council members, I have for you to consider tonight some things to wrap up our fiscal year 07-08 budgets. I'll be brief as I can, but stop me at any time and I'll answer any questions that I can. But with the general fund, we have an additional revenue of $454,555 that we have not budgeted. That will help offset $328,871 in additional expenditures that we had not budgeted. So in all, for the general fund, despite the decrease in our sales tax collections and the issues we face with that, we still look like we're going to add to our fund balance this past fiscal year of at least $125,000. And I'm just going to move on real quick unless you have specific questions about line items. Within our sanitation fund, we have additional revenue of $137,000 with additional expenses of $34,000. So we look like we'll add to that fund balance also of $103,000. Within our drug fund, we had $20,000 in additional revenue, and we had $46,000 in additional expenses. We are decreasing that fund balance $26,000. We still have a pretty healthy fund balance in the drug fund of, after this fiscal year, some $42,000 at the end of this fiscal year. And The tree board, we had additional expenditures of $4,500 as related to a grant that they had helped match the tree inventory, I think, and tree management plan, and that was some grant expense there. That was $4,500. The animal control fund, that's just to recognize that we had budgeted money for the expansion there, but that we'd not spent that money yet, so we're just decreasing that. So that money will stay in the fund balance. Within the economic development fund, recognizing $80,000 in revenue there to help offset the $80,000 in expenditures for the mixed-use business park, the design fees out there. Within the quality of life fund, similar, we had grant revenue and some revenue from the other governmental entities involved with the Rails with Trails, and that's pretty much a wash, $200,000 in revenue to help offset the design and master plan study for that Rails with Trails project. And that is the last one that I have for you to consider, and I'd recommend your approval.
Do we have a motion and a second to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion by the council?
I do have a question on the increase-decrease expenditure sheet. What is down near the bottom, 44110,582? What is that in reference to? 110,582.
That's a liability settlement issue that we had in leisure services. That's been a lawsuit that's been some 5 years ago, I guess, and that was a incident where a young lady had fell at the Cane Creek Park, I think, and injured her face, and that's the settlement on that.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
When, on the animal control fund, when that money is not expended and it just rolls over, do we earn any interest on that?
There has been interest accrued on
Okay.
that, but that money, we have been using that just to help operate the
Okay.
shelter.
All right.
Any further discussion by the council? Any comments from the audience? Seeing none, all vote.
3 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davidson. That brings us to item 11, consider appointment to the Historic Zoning Commission. Sponsor, Mr. James Mills.
Mayor and council members, as you're aware, Mr. Don Prince, who served as the Planning Commission representative on the Historic Zoning Commission, has resigned. Mr. Chris Wakefield has been contacted and has agreed to complete Mr. Prince's term as the Planning Commission representative, which will expire April 2009. Members of the Historic Zoning Commission are appointed by the mayor with confirmation by a majority vote of the City Council. The Planning Department recommends for the appointment of Mr. Wakefield.
All right, I'll make that in the form of a motion to nominate Mr. Chris Wakefield to the Historic Zoning Commission.
Second.
Our second, any discussion by the council? Comments from the audience? Seeing none, all vote.
3 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. Item 12, consider awarding contract with Clinton Engineering for design improvements to intersections of South Maple Avenue, Hudgens Street, Old Bridge Road and Old Sparta Road, West Jackson Street, South Walnut Avenue, and West Jackson Street, Buffalo Valley Road. Sponsor, Mr. Greg Brown.
Mayor and council, these improvements are, all of them except for the South Maple Hudgens, are adding a turn lane. The South Maple Hudgens Street is aligning the intersection, so it'll be South Maple can go directly across Hudgens instead of the dogleg there. And I would recommend your approval for
We have a motion.
$31,200.
Do we have a motion and a second to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion by the council? You said a lining, not a light.
A lining, yes.
Okay. Any comments from the council? Any comments from the audience?
The West Jackson Buffalo Valley Road, that'd be a turn lane on both sides of Buffalo Valley Road,
Yes, both sides.
and then same thing with South Walnut.
South Walnut has one on the south side. Well, this is a east and west on Jackson where the turn lane, it's not on Walnut.
Walnut has it on the north side.
Walnut.
Right.
Yeah, this is on, adding a left turn lane on Jackson.
On Jackson, right.
Then we'll change the signal to have a left turn arrow there,
Okay, good.
like it is on Scott.
Yeah.
Very good. Looks good. Any further comments by the council? Any comments from the audience? Seeing none, I'll vote.
Thank you.
3 yes votes, motion carries.
Item 13, consider of approval of the Lamar Settlement Agreement. Sponsor, Mr. Mills.
Mayor and council members, the Lamar Advertising is requesting the approval of an addendum to the April 21st, 2008 settlement agreement between Lamar and the city of Cookeville. In the April settlement, the city agreed to issue a permit for an off-premise sign at 1151 South Willow Avenue. The purpose of the addendum is to change the location to 1211 Boyd Ferris Road. Our attorney has reviewed and approved the addendum. He's also suggested that a waiver of rights to an off-premise sign at 1151 South Willow Avenue be obtained from the property owner. The planning department recommends for your approval.
Do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion by the council?
So there cannot be one then built at 1151, correct? Under this,
Correct.
after this is signed.
That's correct.
This will be signed before this goes into, before this becomes official. Is that how that works?
This agreement be signed or the waiver from the
The
property?
waiver.
Waiver from the property owner. We'd have to have that before this is official.
So it won't increase the total number of
No, sir.
signs?
Not any more than it's already been agreed to in the agreements with Lamar and East West Media.
Any further comment by the council? Any comments from the audience? Seeing none, I'll vote.
3 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mills. That brings us to our hearing of citizens and/or delegations portion of our meeting. We invite citizens to come to our council meeting and speak for up to 3 minutes about any. Yes, ma'am, if you would come and.
I don't want to jump the line.
No, come right ahead and identify yourself, and we'll give you 3 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Linda Clemens. I'm the Executive Director of the National Spay-Neuter Response Teams Clinic, owned and operated here in Cookeville by the Humane Society of Putnam County, a private charity. I'm here tonight to let you know that next week our clinic will celebrate our 1-year anniversary. In the first year, we have spayed or neutered 3,300 dogs and cats. 50% of those animals were from Putnam County, and the remainder were from the surrounding other counties in Upper Cumberland. The Humane Society believes that the solution to our community's pet overpopulation crisis is to spay or neuter our pets. This solution, once applied, is irreversible and permanent. The spayed or neutered pet will never add additional unwanted puppies or kittens back in our community. This solution is 100% effective. On behalf of the Humane Society Board of Directors, I would like to invite this council and your staff and anyone in our community to join us next week for our anniversary celebration on Friday, August the 15th, from 2 to 4 p.m. at our clinic at 2435 Fisk Road. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clemens.
Thank you.
We applaud what you're doing for the community in that regard. Thank you. Any further comments? Any other folks? Seeing none,
We want to remember the race for the park.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We've got, it's
Our
unfortunate.
spokesperson is not here
That's
for
right.
that.
That's
but,
right. Good call.
I know there's been a lot of work, both obviously by him, but all the city departments to do that. And what's the count now? Is it over 400?
It's over 300, isn't it? Rick had to go to a referees meeting tonight or something, but it was well over 300.
So I knew it was
So-
approaching 400. So and people can still register the night of tomorrow night before the race. So
And you can run or you can walk.
you can run or walk. That's correct.
And it starts at 8:58?
Right.
And if you want to register, you need to come earlier than
I
that.
believe that's right.
That's good. Any other announcements? Comments? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.